Hello world! Today we're going to explore some of the ins and outs of gun ownership in Japan. Like, if one were to want to hunt hare using guns, what sort of licenses do they need to acquire? Can you even touch a gun without a gun license? Where do you even go to buy a firearm? How are you supposed to keep firearms and ammunition safely tucked away? All of these questions will be answered and more as we take a look into an American hunter's community in Okayama, Japan. Meet Dave. He's what a lot of expats in my generation like to call a lifer, someone that's made Japan their long-term home, maybe with a family, house, and career set here for the foreseeable future. He's a friend of Bobby's, our part-time producer, and was kind enough to share his experience and knowledge for all of us to enjoy. So without further ado, let's hear from Dave about how one even begins to legally own a gun in Japan.
So this is my actual gun license. So the way a gun license works in Japan is that there's a license, a person, and a gun, and all three of those things are connected. So only I can own this gun, only I can use this gun, and this gun license is only for me. The first step is you go to a several hour-long seminar run by the police, and at the end of that, there's a 50-question true and false test, and you have to score 90% or above to pass that. The test itself is really difficult. It's 50 questions, true or false, which sounds easy, but it's all in Japanese, and it's all written in kind of legalese. So it's not even just a standard Japanese. It's very formal, legal sounding terms for everything. And just one small difference in the way the question is written could easily make it true or false. So I studied really hard for months. I was in a classroom full of 30 or 40 people, and maybe only about half of the people in the room passed the test, actually. Once you pass the paper test, the next thing you have to do is schedule time to go to a gun range where a professional will teach you how to handle the gun and how to shoot the gun. So you have to remember that stage of the process for 99% of Japanese people will be the first time that they ever touch a real gun. So it's very basic, and it's mostly safety oriented. It's not really about becoming a great shooter on the first day. It's more about handling the gun in a safe manner. And you need things like, you need a doctor to give you a mental health certificate. There's a lot of background information that you have to give to the police. So your employment history, the history of the addresses that you've lived at recently, and then the police will come out and talk to everybody you know. They'll talk to your family, they'll talk to your boss, they'll talk to your neighbors. So there's steps within steps of this process.
And Dave's not kidding. There are well over a dozen steps to getting your gun license and owning a gun in Japan. We've listed here what we think is a pretty comprehensive list of to-dos, but don't take our word for it. Make sure to consult with your local police and hunting organizations. And I'm sure that a lot of you are wondering just how much all of this costs the average applicant. Well, according to this spreadsheet that Dave provided, by adding up all of the test, certificate, ammunition, gun, and miscellaneous costs together, he spent 332,725 yen, or about $2,100 to get started as a hunter in Japan. That's actually less than my Sony a7S III. Anyway, let's get back to Dave, where he'll show us what his gun locker looks like.
So we'll keep the locker back here. So according to Japanese law, the gun locker and the ammunition locker have to be in separate places. In my case, they're actually in separate buildings. Another part of the law is that only I can possess the key to the locker, and not even any of my family members can even know where I keep this key, actually. So, and as you can see, it's not the same as like a gun safe as people in Europe or North America might think of it. It's more like a school locker type toughness of a material, but it is connected to the wall so that nobody can just pick the whole thing up and take it. And if you take a look inside, so this is the way that we are supposed to store our guns. If possible, we're supposed to take the barrel off and store it separately. And then the body of the gun actually has one more. The magnet stuck to that. Oh. Wow. If you look inside here, this is the way guns are supposed to be stored. Ideally, the barrel is supposed to be disconnected from the main body of the gun. And then the main body of the gun has one more chain and lock through it. So there's 2 locks of protection. So when you initially get your gun license, before you have your permission to buy your first gun, you have to have the gun locker and ammunition locker installed, and they come and check to make sure that you have that. And then they will finally give you permission to buy your first gun. Every 3 years, you have to renew your gun license. And at that time, they come out and they look again just to make sure that everything is still installed correctly. So normally, only I can handle this gun. Other people, even if they have a gun license, they're not allowed to handle this gun or shoot this gun or go hunting with this gun. But a gun shop is one of the few places where you can go in Japan and actually touch a lot of different guns. While you're choosing the gun that you're going to buy, of course, you can hold them and try them out. You can't shoot them, but at least you can handle them. So I went to a gun shop and picked out the first gun that I wanted. And then the gun shop themselves have to fill out a lot of paperwork and send that to the police. And then at the same time, I fill out separate paperwork saying, this is the gun, this is the specific gun that I would like to purchase. And then the police will make their decision whether you're allowed to buy that or not. In between there is another step, which is another application process where you have to apply for permission to buy ammunition. So that's just another part that's like in the back of the license. So like here's my current permission to buy and own and store and use ammunition. And this is good for like 1 year. Actually, if it runs out, I can still use it and own it. I just couldn't buy anymore. So every year I have to reapply for this if I want to buy new ammunition. After that, then finally you can go to a shooting range. In this area, there's 2. And if you drive a few hours away up north or out west, there's a few more that you can go to. But they're a little bit few and far between. They're usually way out in the middle of nowhere so that the noise doesn't bother people. And then all shooting ranges in Japan are either skeet or trap ranges, which are 2 different kinds of clay pigeon shooting. There's also rifle ranges. So once you can finally own a rifle, you can shoot like a 50-meter or 100-meter range.
So where are we today, Dave? Where are we going?
So we're at the Okayama Clay shooting range in Mitsu. So it's about 45 minutes north of Okayama City. Today we're going to meet the rest of the Minami Bunkai, part of the Okayama Hunting Association group. And we're going to do some target shooting to get ready for the hunting season. So there's 2 stations for trap shooting and 2 stations for skeet shooting. Like I have another shooting vest. It's just like you can wear whatever you want as a shooting vest. I mean, the main purpose of a shooting vest is just to have big pockets to put all the shells in. That's the main purpose of it. Otherwise, it's hard to carry the shells around. But we wear this when we go out hunting for safety. But then because this is a hunting group practice, we just wear this because, you know, it's the group identifier. Does that make sense? As long as you're like behind us, you can kind of float around until somebody tells you, hey, you're not supposed to stand in this area. But yeah, because we'll move around the semicircle. Bolt!
So when you're out hunting, it doesn't matter. But at the shooting range, you just want to like close it quietly so that it doesn't activate the clays, the fire. Yeah. And then whenever you're not shooting, you just want to make sure that the chamber is open, and then that way you know that the gun's not loaded and it's safe to put down. So these headphones are electronic. So of course they have a lot of padding that just blocks the sound, but they also have a microphone on the front. So if somebody's talking to me, I can hear them talk. However, when a gunshot goes off, the internal speaker automatically cuts off so that you don't get any of that gunshot sound coming through the speaker into your ear, and you have the natural pattern sound protection. So it's quite nice because you can have conversations with people without having to take your ear protection on and off constantly, but you know you're fully protected from the gunshot sound. Oh. If I hit more than half on skeet, I'm usually pretty happy with my performance. So I'm quite happy with 17 out of 25. Go! Like whenever we register for hunting season, it's kind of all folded in together. So it's like your hunting association dues, the registration fee that goes to the government, and insurance. So that's like special insurance that covers you to spend the hunting season. That's all folded up into sort of one payment that we make. And I think it's 34,000 yen, something like that.
Even at the shooting range, you can't try out your friend's guns. You can't even pick up and look down the sights of your friend's guns. So it's very strict, which makes it very hard to select a gun. Especially, I had little to no gun experience previous to this, had only been to firing ranges a few times in my life. So without shooting this gun, I had to purchase it and hope for the best that it was going to be a good fit for me. The first gun I got was this Beretta, and I bought this used. These are both 12 gauge shotguns. In Japan, the first 10 years that you own a gun, you can only own a shotgun. That could generally be a 12 gauge or 20 gauge shotgun. After 10 years, if you have done everything legally and lawfully, then you can ask for permission to own a hunting rifle. There's only two reasons to own guns in Japan, and that is for target shooting, and the other reason is hunting. So the basic thinking is that a shotgun is a kind of an all-round kind of weapon that can handle any of those hunting tasks. So it's good for people who only want to do sports shooting, and it's also basically what you need to start hunting. If you compare a rifle to a shotgun, a rifle can shoot much, much further, probably 3 to 5 times further than a shotgun can. Japan is very hilly and wooded and crowded, so unless you're somewhere like the wilds of Hokkaido, you're very rarely trying to shoot at a deer or a boar that's 200 or 300 meters away from you. Usually you're shooting everything within 100 meters of where you are. So you don't necessarily need a super high-powered hunting rifle for that kind of task. And especially as a beginner, it's just safer to have a shotgun that you can't accidentally shoot like over a hill or much further than you intended to shoot it. So it's a little safer to start out with, and it can do everything that you need it to do. So the gun license and the hunting license are separate. You need to take tests to get both of those. The gun license is run and controlled by the police, and the hunting license is run and controlled by the Ministry of Land and Forests, basically. These badges here, each year when you register officially to hunt, you get a metal badge that you have to either display like on your hunting vest or on your hat. And each prefecture has a different badge. So you have to register and pay in each prefecture that you want to hunt in. The hunting season in Japan is November 15th to February 15th. There are some exceptions to that. I think it starts a little bit earlier in Hokkaido, but most of the other prefectures, it's the middle of November to the middle of February. Now, where I live in Okayama Prefecture, there's an overpopulation of deer and boar. So just that 3-month hunting season is not enough to control the population well enough. So there's a 1-month extension for the past few years from February 15th until March 15th that is only for deer and boar. And there's different kinds of hunting in Japan. So there's gun hunting, and then you can also use it like an air gun, like a pellet gun or an air gun. And there's also trapping, which is actually probably more popular and gets a lot more animals than gun hunting does. So trapping is also very popular. Outside of the regular hunting season, for experienced hunters, there's also special permission for hunters to hunt year-round, just to keep the number of pest animals down. I don't have any experience hunting in the US, but from what I understand, a lot of hunting in the US is kind of go out in the woods and find your spot and settle down and wait. Whereas a lot of hunting in Japan is trying to drive the animals into the group of hunters. So for example, when I go boar hunting, we have anywhere between 10 and 15 hunters and 2 to 4 dogs. So what will happen is we'll go out to the countryside and we all spread out around one side of a mountain, basically. But spread out means so far spread out that you don't see the next person. You're several hundred meters to the next person at the closest. And then the dogs will be released on the far side of the mountain. And hopefully, if everything goes right, they will drive the boar into the line of hunters on the other side of the mountain. And it's the same, very similar with deer hunting in that respect. Because you can go out all day boar hunting or deer hunting, and even if the group gets 3 boar, that might not be me. So there could be literally nothing to film except for me staring at a patch of woods. But the duck hunting is always action-packed, and I definitely recommend that for good footage. Okay, so the way duck hunting works that we do around here. We can edit that pause out later. So the way duck hunting usually works when I go, it's called jump hunting. So we go. So we go to an area of low hills where there are many ponds up in the tops of valleys. Those ponds used to be the irrigation ponds that fed the rice fields. Nowadays, nobody uses those because they use irrigation pumps. But the ponds are all still there, and a lot of them are overgrown all around the edges with trees. So this is the perfect place for ducks to sleep. The ducks like to sleep on the water and be protected by the tree branches overhead. So what we do is we try to drive nearby the ponds and park, and then the final 100 meters we creep up to the edge of the pond, and hopefully all the hunters kind of pop up over the edge of the pond at the same time. And if there's ducks there, then we take our shots. So we will go around to a series of 10 or 12 ponds throughout one morning. You can't hunt until the legal sunrise. So I think today that's 6:35 a.m., something like that. So we'll try to be out at the first pond by that time, and then we'll go for a couple hours. So we just drive around from pond to pond.
That's right. So today's official sunrise is 6:37 a.m., which is in 7 minutes. So we're gonna hang out till then. Hey, 走って奥まで行って。この辺。So we hit a few. One landed in a really good, easy to take spot. The one I hit landed down the hill, and there's like one more somewhere over there that they're gonna look for with the dog. So here, when you get a duck, the first thing to do is you take its guts out, and then the meat won't spoil. And then you can let it, you just put it in the car, in a bag, and it can just wait until the end of the hunt to take care of it once you take the intestines out. So I don't know why we lined up in that order, because the first two ladies hadn't been with this group before, so they didn't know what to do. They're supposed to run out to the very end and then let everybody line up, but they didn't go fast enough, and that's why I just ran past them. So otherwise everyone, it's like a traffic jam, and everyone can't get out to where they can shoot. But they should have had someone who's been with our group a bunch of times to run out first. But I think they're being polite, like, oh, new people, you should go first. But they didn't know what to do. It's always like that on the first day. I mean, we're gonna go to like 10 ponds today, so it's no big deal.
So about that, we visited several more ponds that day, but none of them had ducks that were legal to shoot. So the most action-packed footage of duck hunting is what you just saw. But on a bright note, we did get to hear from some of Dave's hunting buddies about their experiences as hunters.
私が今のグループ入れたのが漁を始めて2年目なんですけど、1年目はもう誰も仲間いないからどこ行ったらいいんか、ここの土地の持ち主誰なんかもわからんけ、すごい怖かったんですけど、2年目の今の師匠とかこの釜内のメンバーと出会えてからはやっぱいろんなこと私の知らなかったルールとか常識とか教えてもらえるからすごい勉強になるし楽しいですよ。鴨内とかそういう狩猟以外にも魚釣りとか園芸とかいろんな趣味持ってる人がいるからそういうことも教えてもらえるし、岡山はそうですね、全国で言ったら多分3番目くらいに多いって言ってたかな。女性は多くって、それでも県内に30人ちょっとかなくらいしかいないから、全国的に言ったらすごく少ないですよ。
免許取るのはずっと取りたかったけど女房が反対しとったからダメで離婚して取れるようになったから、でそうで離婚したからもういけるわと思って、楽しかった。やっぱり肉になるからね、やっぱり人間の原点でしょ。やっぱり取って食べるってだいたい肉に走るか魚に走るか野菜に走るかでしょ。年取ってだいたい定年してなんかみんなされるったらやっぱり畑とかするのはやっぱり人間の本質でしょ。こうなんかを作って取るとか、山に行ってタケノコを取るとか、こう食料を取って自分で食べるとかいうのがやっぱり人間のこの本質なんかな。で僕にとってはそれが動物だったね。
I got into it at the urging of a friend, but it's also something that my grandfather and my uncles are really into, and I always had a little bit of interest in the back of my mind to do it. But I moved to Japan when I was in my early 20s, so I never really had a chance to do it when I was an adult out on my own in America. So I just thought, oh, this is a good chance. And I like the outdoors. Like, I'm actually into hiking and camping, outdoor activities. I think it's fun and interesting, and it's a kind of a difficult hobby just because it's very technical and there's a lot of things to learn. But at the same time, I've really met a super group of people who have been teaching me things. I've hunted for 3 seasons now, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert hunter by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm definitely learning things all the time. And even when you are able to get an animal, there's still a huge process after that, which involves preparing the animal into meat ready to eat. So even after you get a deer or a boar, there's still a lot of things to do.
So the head of the hunting community that Dave is a part of, Nieda-san, owns a meat processing facility in the outskirts of the city. The facility meets health code regulations, and so Nieda-san processes and sells wild meats to clients across the country. Several times a year, members of this group will gather to socialize, eat, and do some maintenance on the facility grounds. Every member pitches in a certain amount of money each year to help fund fishing outings in the Sea of Japan, barbecues, and other excursions. It's a community that, throughout all my years in Okayama, I had never gotten to see before. So while I could imagine vegans and vegetarians being incredibly uncomfortable there, for me, it was an interesting and novel experience.
As far as I know, in this prefecture, I'm the only foreigner that owns a gun. Now, there are places in Japan with a lot more foreigners with guns. For example, Yamaguchi Prefecture is close to the Iwakuni Marine Base. From what I have heard from people, there are tons of US service members who are very into hunting, who get their permission to own guns in Japan and go hunting. So at first, when I started to get into all of this and studying for my test, I thought, wow, this is so strict and regulated. And I thought, oh, it can't really possibly be like this in America. It must be, the image of America is that it's pretty easy to get a gun and use a gun. But actually, when I started to look into the laws in America around gun ownership and hunting, they're not that different, actually. I mean, if you want to talk about like owning pistols or something in America, that's a kind of a totally different category. But as far as like owning firearms for hunting, other than the obvious restriction of not being able to own a rifle right away, the laws are very similar, and they're designed for safety. And as far as I know, there's very few hunting accidents in Japan, even though they probably do happen every once in a while. So the focus is on safety, and the focus is on keeping your weapons secure, even when you're not using them. But I don't really, I don't disagree with how hard it is to get a gun, because all of the red tape you're just proving that you're motivated to do it, you have a real reason, and that you're going to be a responsible gun owner.
And while we're on the topic of gun safety, here's a chart showing gun-related fatality data from the United States, Canada, Australia, and Japan. I recommend taking this information with a grain of salt and doing your own research too. But from what we could find, there have been no gun-related deaths among hunters in Japan in the past several years. Both Japan and Australia are known for their strict gun laws, so this may come as no surprise to you, but the number of gun-related fatalities in the United States is much, much higher than in these two countries. We may make an entire video focused on guns and public safety somewhere down the line, but for now I just wanted to include some basic information for any of you who may be curious. Anyway, that's it for our video on gun laws in Japan. A big thanks to Dave and his friends for being so helpful for the production of this video. Happy hunting, everyone! Thanks for watching, see you next time, peace! What's owning a gun like where you're from?